And we are live. Let's hope the mic is working. It's always the concern. I'm being hated on. Let's see if anybody's coming on in. All right, some people coming in. All right, there we go. All right. What is up, y'all? What's up, Beatrix? Thank you for coming through. Let's go for real. Right off the bat, gonna beg people to hit the like and subscribe button and a notification. Well, I mean, you can hit that too, but I just realized what I was saying. God, is Baron still on? I tried not to come on while Baron was on, but I see that that didn't work out for me too well. But we are going to start with this clip though. I'm gonna do like an intro, right? But I just want to see if this video is on here. If I have to go find it on Twitter. Guys, keep hitting the like. This is damn Baron. All right, it's okay. Let me put Candace Owens. I told y'all about interesting. It's funny. This video's up. Boom. Okay. So she brought it up.
The internet was dominated yesterday by video.
Man, oh man, we are going to take a trip down memory lane. We are. Let me just check the excuse me. Let me just check the transcript to see if Charlie's name makes it in this one, because I knew exactly what clip that Candace was talking. Damn, his name is not on here. I want to see if I could find the longer version. Let me just go back and check, because I remember this interview, and the long version of this interview is not on his show. That's fine. But I kind of really wanted it to be on there, because she did bring up Charlie Kirk. We'll talk about it though. We'll talk about it. Let me just go back to my history, and I'm gonna do a monologue as to why I'm talking about this stuff, and
by video.
Hold on. Okay. So we're gonna end up letting the clip play so I can get people lip in here. But in the meantime, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the live. Now, for my monologue. No. Yeah, this time we're really gonna do this. So for my monologue, the question of Ben Shapiro has been coming back. I'm not gonna stay too long on the monologue. It's been coming back about his connections and who he is and what are his his not leanings, but who is he beholden to, right? And it's funny that this is happening in a time where I started dusting my brain as far as some of the stories I heard about Ben Shapiro in the past, about Andrew Breitbart, and stories I heard about the Tea Party and everything else. And even stories about how Trump was like a Trojan horse, and just all the connections, TPUSA, everything. And then I started running into these clips. And then I was like, I really want to talk about this. But so this space is like what we're gonna do in this live is we're gonna do some research to answer some questions about our American infrastructure. Now, I do believe that I got something happened, and this is another reason why I say people don't spam the comments on the live. I don't know what's going on. We started making some headway with getting people in here, but I'm noticing that that's not happening. Plus, my videos are starting to get just a tad bit suppressed. It's okay. This is what happens with suppression on the algorithm. You just have to keep pushing through and just keep putting out more material, which I continuously will put out material. I don't care. I'm not going to stop. And then you push past the brick. That's how I usually talk about it. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to look at this clip. This clip here is to set the tone a little bit. This is a Tucker Carlson talking to a very pregnant Candace Owens from like 2 years ago. This was around 2024 when Candace started talking about the genocide a lot more. And well, we know she got ridiculed and everything. We know what happened with Ben Shapiro, but so it was good to go back down memory lane and take a look at things and, kind of work our way back and see what happened along the way. There's a lot of stuff that we forgot. I remember I was all over this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we forgot. So the person who's commenting this, I don't even make Nick Fuentes videos anymore. So what are you talking about? If this is all you're here to do, you can go ahead. As a matter of fact, like I didn't even like have time for this today. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this clip. I'm going to make myself smaller so that you can see it. I just remember this time. Let's get into it because Tucker Carlson already funny because he's ready to start the drama.
The internet was dominated yesterday by video of Ben Shapiro, who you work with at the Daily Wire. I think it's fair to say attacking you. Here's the video. I just want to get your reaction to it.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. Yeah, and she still works for my company. And I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
So maybe there's a point in the video where he explains what exactly you did wrong, how you were wrong. I haven't seen it. But to call somebody, quote, absolutely disgraceful, particularly a coworker, seems like a pretty big step.
So to set the tone, by the way, guys, keep hitting that like button for me. Please keep hitting that like button. We are going to have to work hard to get more people in here. To set the tone of this video, right, that we're watching. Today, you hear Ben Shapiro talk like that, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, that's normal, Ben. Please try to bring your mind back to pre-October 7th when everybody was on the same team fighting MAGA. We're going to get our country back from the left. We believe in freedom of speech, and we believe in the Constitution and the right to your own opinions and all of this and all of that. And all Candace Owens really said was, I think genocide is wrong, right? And then she got dealt so heavy by Ben Shapiro, and just kind of remind yourself how it was like, whoa, what is going on? Because that was the reaction we had to it.
I really don't know the background here. What is that about?
You know, there isn't much of a background. I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks like it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity.
God bless Candace. That was very nice of her. He knew he was being recorded and he did it anyway. I don't know why they used to give him. That boy knew he was being recorded.
On the issue that he was particularly speaking on, and in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree, or I don't think she's correct, or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed in that, at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say that I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks. Yes. I don't think it helps further discussion. And if that was me that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
Has he texted you to apologize or explain or anything?
No, nothing. I haven't heard a single word. It just was sort of something that he said. And you know what? Ben and I have many disagreements, so I don't think that that's particularly something that's interesting. We disagreed on the COVID vaccine. We disagree on Ukraine and Russia. He has taken virtually every stance that has been the opposite of mine on every issue over the last 5 years. So I don't think that that's particularly remarkable.
Vaccine. Really, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, he was pro the COVID vaccine. I was anti the vaccine. We were all idiots for not getting the vaccine. So that's totally fine. I am totally open to people having a difference in opinion.
Right.
I would hope that amongst colleagues that it would always be civil disagreement, and I would never in a private event stand on a table and talk badly about Ben.
It's a little weird. So he was on the left on those three biggest issues of our time, is what you're saying?
He has converted his opinions. He's accepted responsibility. He said, I was wrong about the vaccine.
Oh, good.
He is, obviously pro pharma. His mom's a doctor. And I say to people, I'm very aware of my perspectives on big pharma, and I talk about it on my show openly. And I think that that's a tremendous credit to the Daily Wire that they allow a difference of opinions. But I as I said, hope that it would remain respectful and that you wouldn't throw your colleagues under a bus, so to speak.
I think that's fair. And just for clarity, because I really don't know, is he your boss?
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about Ben's involvement. He's not the CEO of the Daily Wire. He is not making the day decisions at the Daily Wire. And I do want to make it very clear because people are like, how could you possibly save Daily Wire after this? I have a very good relationship with the co-CEOs of the Daily Wire. Especially right now, the acting CEO is Caleb Robinson. He's a wonderful person. He's worked very hard to be where he's at. We have a lot in common that we connect on. And so people don't get to see that, which is unfortunate. Ben lives in Florida. He's not a part of the day-to-day movement of the Daily Wire. The rest of the hosts have their shows situated in Nashville. So we see each other every day. We talk. There's great camaraderie. Yes. And there's actually more agreement. There's actually a lot of people that are, as I describe myself, just pro-America first. And I think I've been that way consistently throughout my political career. Whether people agree with it or not in different moments is up for debate. But I don't want that video to become a reflection of how the Daily Wire works and the Daily Wire operates, because I have had a very good experience with the CEOs, and, love Michael Knowles, love Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan. We all get along really great.
Well, it certainly speaks well to the Daily Wire then. So it's not, a clip like that on the internet, Candace Owens is out or something. That's doesn't sound like that's what it means.
Yeah, no, it's a small group of people. We see each other every day. Right. Brett Cooper is another one who just joined about 2 years ago. She's great. She's up and coming. And there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. And that's why I think this video is even more unfortunate, because people see him as a figurehead, rightfully so, of the Daily Wire. And it allows people to, speak energy into the Daily Wire that isn't necessarily there, because he's not there on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, that's very interesting. So if we could take 3 steps back and give us the context for this debate, how are you on different sides of it? I haven't heard you endorsing Hamas, like you're not. No.
Well, I have not endorsed Hamas in any way, and yet people have interpreted things that I say, or actually rather things that I don't say. It's becoming very much reminiscent to me, and why I have used my platform to say this, of Black Lives Matter, where if you don't say anything, they say your silence is violence. If you say something and it's even-handed and it's nuanced, which is to say, during the times of Black Lives Matter, you might say, I don't support police brutality. Who does? I don't support racism. Who does? But also, I think that police are a crucial part of every city. We need to have policing in cities. So these calls to defund the police are immoral and wrong and are going to lead to more Black deaths. People didn't want that nuance. When following George Floyd, there was no nuance. You had to explicitly say defund the police. You had to post a Black square. If you didn't post a Black square on Instagram, by the way, specifically on the platform of Instagram, and you maybe were busy that day, maybe you were in another country, maybe you just didn't log on to Instagram, you were accused of being a racist. I'm seeing a lot of that behavior right now when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a conflict that I have seen every single person, including myself, condemn what happened on October 7th. Because who wouldn't condemn terrorism? It's obvious. Who would not condemn innocent Israelis dying? But if you then say that it is also sad when an innocent Palestinian child dies, suddenly this is pro-Hamas, or you need to say, even when you're talking about how sad it is that a child dies, you need to button that statement by saying, but that child was a human shield. That's not going to be my response. First off, as a mother, that's not going to be my response as somebody who is about to give birth. When I see these images of children involved on both sides of the conflict, I've pointed to the people that are mocking dead Israeli children and said that they are horrific. I am even keel on this matter, and yet people think that you need to be extreme. So people that have become more radical and extreme are perceiving a moderate stance as not enough. And
because I was about to say, people can disagree with you or agree with you or whatever, but you certainly don't seem radical on this topic.
I'm definitively not radical. My stance has not changed in terms of whether or not America should be involved in this conflict. Whether we were talking about Afghanistan, my comments have been clear. They've been documented for years. Whether we are talking about Ukraine and Russia, my comments have been clear and they have been documented. You can go back to me even talking about NATO expansion before things erupted between Russia and Ukraine, and having a meaningful discussion about how much expansion is too much expansion. How would we feel if we had troops on our border? These are things that should be allowed in an academic discussion. You should be able to sit on stage and should be able to debate these ideas without using ad hominem attacks to say that you're a pro-Putin puppet or you're pro-terrorism. Even in the aftermath of 9/11, something that we all remember as part of my childhood. I think I was in 7th grade at the time, and I'm born in the New York City area. So this was a very big deal. If a person the day after 9/11 wanted to debate the Patriot Act, it's not fair to call them terrorist sympathizers.
No.
Actually, they would have been proven right in the long run. That act, we gave up a lot of our freedoms. And I think there was only one congressman, a Republican, that was against the Patriot Act at that time. So it's important, actually, when you start making decisions in a highly emotional time, that people sit down and have these academic debates. And there are people that are saying, no, it doesn't matter because people are dead, that you need to just choose a side. And that needs to be it. It needs to become tribal.
There's also, I can't help but notice that your views reflect mine. I would say pretty much. I'm an American. I was horrified by what happened on October 7th. I think it was pretty strange. I don't really understand how it happened, but innocents died, and that's awful. And I hated watching it. I feel so sorry for the Israelis who were killed. However, there's an emotional response that is disproportionate, I think, on the part of some commentators. I mean, our country's being invaded right now by millions of young men whose identities we don't know, who probably don't even like America, and they're now living here. Over 100,000 Americans die every year of fentanyl. I've known a couple. Those are real tragedies. I've never seen anything like the emotion from any commentator around those tragedies as I'm watching about a foreign tragedy. I think that's odd.
He was right. And so he went on to say more. I actually have the rest of the clip because they do talk about Charlie Kirk here or whatever. But just guys, please keep hitting that like button for me. Please keep hitting that like button for me. Also wanted to bring in Tucker Carlson into this discussion because right now Ben Shapiro has a lot of nerve, kind of the way he went after Tucker Carlson today. No matter how you feel about Tucker Carlson, and this is what I mean about us non-marshmallow people, you know what I mean? We just don't stick together. We lose, we're distracted. I don't know. But I'm gonna come back to that. But they did end up talking about Charlie Kirk in the next segment, which I actually have. But I want to come back. It's funny to watch Candace Owens saying, you know, I have a really good rapport and a good relationship with Daily Wire. No, nothing's gonna happen, and XYZ and all of that. And I think when I watched this, I had still in the back of my mind, maybe like 15-20%, like they're going to fire her. But it still was outlandish to me where I was thinking like, well, Casey, how can you think that they're going to fire her? Because that's just too damn obvious. Like, you know, if they fire her, they just don't give a damn. Like, that's just pretty obvious. And then they went ahead and fired her anyway. And I think that's when it showed me, I was like, oh, by any means necessary. Like these people, they don't care. They're Israel first, and that's just it. That's it, and that's all. They don't care about dividends, money, all that stuff. They don't care. They're Israel first. And you need to get out the way. You need to shut up and get out the way. And I have some clips to show that. But you know, that said, and I do have some clips. I have some words from Ben Shapiro. So it's like I'm warming y'all to see, like, you know, the absolute fracture between one side and another side and all of that. It's just it really it says a lot. It says a lot. And like I said, Candace was being very nice. She's like, oh, I have a good rapport with Daily Wire. Everything is gonna be okay. And then it wasn't, you know, and I think she might have really believed that. And then it wasn't. But God bless her. Like, I'm not gonna hate on her like at all. You know, the Lord is one thing we know. Like, look, the Lord was like, oh, I got something else better for you. And no, I wasn't into the Brigitte Macron series. You know, I thought they were an absolute waste of time. Sorry. And I've never watched any of them, and I don't care. That's my bias. I don't care. But when she started questioning stuff about Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens has become the only person with a huge platform like herself. While there's other people coming up, and God bless those people coming up, but really think about it. Who else has a Candace Owens, Benny Johnson, Steven Crowder, Nick Fuentes, Tim Pool. It's only Candace Owens that's saying something isn't right here. Okay. And I'm not privy to the contracts of what exactly happened. So I'm just going to throw everything out there because something isn't right here. And you don't have to agree with everything. But certainly, I'm not going to think that she's crazy for acting, because I would be acting the same way too. If not the same way, I would probably be acting more unhinged of like, y'all haven't seen anything yet. I want to play one more clip, and then I'm going to come to y'all comments. But real quick, we're going to share here instead. Please, guys, again, I'm begging you to please hit the like button for me. Let me just listen to. All right. Yep. Make sure that, you know, got to make sure the voice sounds right. It should be this right here. I believe this is where they're gonna get into Charlie Kirk. What I hate about YouTube is that that's a shame. Everybody was really wow. Brian Krasenstein said this was a good episode. Wow. It's just going back and looking at the comments of these things. Everybody was so focused. Everybody was so together. And unfortunately, it's not like this. Wow. Even Caitlyn Triflin Jenner. Everybody was on, you know what I mean? Wow. And it was 2023 when they did this interview. I thought it was 2024, but you know what? It was 2023 because it was early. Because people were like, "Yo, what am I looking at, man?" Every time I look, this new kids being, you know what I mean? I'm seeing crazy things, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't like what I'm seeing. And she gave a voice to people who were like, I'm a little conflicted here, you know. I didn't comment, and it's probably because I was being me. All right, hold on.
There's also, I can't help but notice that your views reflect mine. I would say pretty much. I'm an American. I was horrified by what done on men whose identities we don't know, who probably don't even like America, and they're now living here. Over 100,000 Americans die every year of fentanyl. I've known a couple. Those are real tragedies. I've never seen anything like the emotion from
It's
any
as loud as it
conversation
gets
around those tragedies as I'm watching about a foreign tragedy. I think that's odd.
I think what tends to happen is, of course, we all have elements of selfishness within us, and so when it particularly pertains to an issue that impacts you, I was strongly speaking out against Black Lives Matter as an organization very early on as a conservative because I understood what the implications were going to be of defunding the police.
Right.
It was an issue that was important to me. I created an entire documentary to talk about this issue.
Yes.
And I held on for a long time, and people began to see that actually I was telling the truth. And now we have more death in inner city communities than we had before.
Yes.
These riots and these George Floyd protests calling for defunding of the police. And I think in terms of this, that's what's also happened is that people that are pro-Israel are pro-Israel, a lot of them, because they have family members in Israel.
I get it.
They have homes in Israel.
Yes.
And so they feel very attached to this issue. And, you know, I was very happy to host somebody who was pro-Israel. He's a pro-Israel comedian on my show the other day. And I explained this to him. I said, you know, you are demanding that we have this same response that you are having about what people are saying on college campuses. The rhetoric on college campuses hasn't changed. Did you not remember what they were saying, what professors were saying? The anti-white explicit racism that was happening, and not even just allowed in terms of student protests, but was written into the curriculum at these universities for years. People were learning this actively in school, that whiteness was associated with wrongness. You had college professors that were writing about this need there need to be less white people in America. You can find these articles. They exist online.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
And that seems genocidal. I mean, if you're
saying
it
is genocidal.
Like by definition, if you're saying being a certain ethnicity or race is itself a sin and we need less of you, I mean, is the definition, is it not?
Right.
You know, it's really good going back to this, like, and I'm hoping we get to the part where they say Charlie Kirk because
it was
I can't I can't pull the transcript on here because X doesn't have that, you know, maybe I probably could get Grok to do it, which I might, but then it's gonna take a while. Whatever. Anyway, the point that I'm making is what she said there too. See, we gotta go back. We forgot. Like that was happening, and I've never been into that. The same way I don't want to hear anybody say get rid of all the blacks, get rid of all the Haitians, get rid of all the Muslims, I don't want to hear somebody say get rid of all the whites. A lot of that stuff was happening in college universities, and then Americans, instead of saying, and look, we all American, right? But like instead of like somebody like Tim Pool saying we need to change the curriculum, they would say abolish the universities. I don't understand why we have to abolish our universities. The kids still need to go to school, but we can figure out what's going on with the Marxist rhetoric. But they weren't allowed to come at Marxism because where does that ism come from? Okay, so whatever. Anyway, but when Israel happened, all bets were off. Forget the white people problem, whatever. None of that. Y'all better bow down and show allegiance to Blue Star State.
A meeting to breed out white people. It was unbelievable what I was seeing, and I was impacted by it because I'm in a biracial relationship and I have biracial children. So you are telling me that my children are going to have to decide between whether or not they are white oppressors or they are Black victims. It doesn't stand for me. So I was attached to this issue, and it's something that I fought for hard on college campuses, and there was no support. There was nobody talking about, well, this is what needs to go. These kids need to go onto blacklists. And by the way, if they did speak that way, I would have disagreed with it because I am pro 1A. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe that kids, by the way, are naturally stupid. In case people forget, I started on the left, right?
Yeah.
So if you found me in college, you would have found a pro-life person who believed, in some racist principles, fundamental racism in America, because that was what I was being taught systematically in the classroom. And then I got to grow up and change my mind. And I don't think people have thought past their immediate emotions to consider what's going to happen when you put these kids on blacklists. You think that's going to bring them over to the pro-Israel side when they get older? Most of these kids, especially when you're talking about the cream of the crop at these Ivy League universities, already have access to money and wealth and connections. And so maybe debating the issues and explaining to them why it was wrong to sign this specific letter, which didn't call for explicit violence against the Israelis, but it actually was very poorly timed and it blamed them for what happened, which would have been horrific. Imagine after 9/11, somebody issues a letter on college campus and says, "Oh well, sorry about the fire department."
I agree.
Yeah,
I get why donors are mad.
Imagine,
By the way, I support donors giving money to things they agree with.
Yes, I support that.
I strongly do.
Yep.
The part that, and so I had no problem with that at all.
Same.
You don't like it, don't pay for it. Good for you. However, then I thought, well, wait a second. If the biggest donors at, say, Harvard have decided, well, we're going to shut it down.
So hold on.
I covered this on my show. At high school, kids were sitting down at this elite school.
Become totally clean, sparkling clean.
It was happening. So it actually is quite a selfish thing some of us have been having for years. Some people are just now jumping into this dialogue. And I don't fault them, their emotion, but I'm not going to become a radical and rise to that level of emotion. I think my takes have been very moderate. Even people that are amendment, I have always been pro staying out of foreign conflicts. And I'm sorry if that feels to you that are being perceived as a discrimination. And it's not discrimination. I'm just treating you the same.
I'm just trying to find the part where because they bring up Charlie Kirk was terrorized by these people during the same time
as everyone has been treated, called anti-Semites for asking meaningful questions. I talked about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, following the attacks on October 7th, turned to the Israeli government and said, how did this happen? You know, he talked about Israel being the size of New Jersey. He's been there many times. He funds thousands of students to go there and to visit. He's honestly radically pro-Israel, I would almost say. It's probably a fair thing to say about Charlie Kirk. Yeah. And he was asking these questions with the intent of, if these were your children and they were involved in this horrific attack, wouldn't you want to know these answers? He's like, you can't move 5 feet without seeing an IDF soldier. I've been to Israel, and that is a fact.
I have too, a number of times, and I admire their border barriers. And I always have. I always think,
I don't.
That.
Just a bit too much.
Totally fair question that he asked, and it got interpreted, and then there were suddenly these attacks asking the question of whether Turning Point was seeping with anti-Semitism, and how unfair to, after all of the work that he has done to support your cause, turn your back on him and to call him an anti-Semite because you don't like a question that he asked that actually was being asked from the heart and with a little bit of rage toward this even being allowed to happen. We always have to hold our governments accountable in how they are responding.
And plenty of Israelis, some of whom I know, are asking that question, and why wouldn't they? So you said a minute ago.
All right, so we can stop there with this clip. I just needed y'all to hear that because, you know, it's hard to find these tweets, man. I remember when this happened to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk questioned October 7th, and they came out. And I don't know why this clip was showing on for some reason it did the rounds on Twitter on Saturday. And I remember it being a Saturday because Joel Pollack, who actually is editor of Breitbart News, I believe now, came out of Shabbat. Okay. Yeah, he said it on PBD. Yeah. But when that clip on PBD went around, Joel Pollack came out of Shabbat to say Charlie Kirk, I can't believe that's what he's saying. Charlie Kirk owes his reputation to the Jews, and we should take everything away. Like, I mean, it's so annoying for me to find this clip. Like, you know what? But this is what we're doing, because I said this is going to be more like a research, because I had the clip. So what we need to do first we have to make sure that I'm spelling his name right, and we can start from there, because this is more of a research type of live. I just want to make sure I'm spelling his name right. Bright. Yeah, I knew I was gonna spell it wrong. Joel Pollack. All right, we're gonna do X tweet Charlie Kirk. Please make it come up. No. So now they're gonna show you all the good stuff. This is what I hate. You know, really, the internet is disgusting, right? Wait a minute. Here we go. I'm gonna hold that there for now. Matter of fact, we're gonna go back and we're gonna open this up in a new link. So, all right, because I want to read that. But you know, I hate the internet. The internet, when you like, be like, show me XYZ. It shows you everything, but and it's for these people. It's so annoying. Let me tell you how annoying it is, right? With Chat GPT, like I make a lot of my thumbnails with Chat GPT. This is not a conspiracy, guys. Seriously, like if I put Ben Shapiro on the Chat GPT to make a thumbnail, it goes haywire. Sometimes it takes them off, or it won't. Like you see my captions on my thumbnails, they do sometimes they're a little off. I'll be like, "This is effing dangerous," right? Like so, if I have a caption there like that, and then like Ben Shapiro's on a thumbnail, and I just wanted to polish it for me, it'll remove Ben Shapiro from. I've literally like yelled at the Chat GPT, like, "Stop doing this! I need you to." So it's like I know how that sounds, but I'm just telling you the honest to goodness truth about like what I be going through. Like it's like seriously, but and see what I mean? It's like now no Charlie Kirk. I'm gonna put anti-Semite. It's not gonna come up. It's so irritating. It really, honest to God, it is. But that's all right. I'm gonna find it either way. I'm gonna find it. But before I find it, I just want to read this one to you. We're gonna share this here. Let's just look at this, right? So, like I said, this is a more of a research live. Furthermore, too, by the way, we also gonna go into Breitbart. We're gonna go just like an introduction, okay? Because I didn't forget that we are here for Ben Shapiro. I didn't forget that. And am I gonna read all this? Hold on 1 second, because this article. Remember now, I pulled this from looking for Joe Pollock. Like he must have boosted this article, because why is it? Hold on, I'm gonna read it, but bear with me. Sorry, y'all. I just want to make sure, because there was a reason why I pulled that. So I have to make sure I find it. It was life is free speech, media matters. Bear with me. Now I can't find a damn thing that I just. Oh, there it is. Editor at large give a full endorsement of what? Like I hate when it does this. The most striking example. Okay, all right. I found out what we're looking for. All right. Let me see. So this is the thing about Media Matters that you have to know is that like even though Ben Shapiro has complained about Media Matters, so all right, we're gonna go down memory lane. We are going to get on the DeLorean, and we are revving up our flux capacitor, and here we are in 2023. Okay, now around this time 2023 2024, Media Matters started harassing Charlie Kirk, right? After Charlie Kirk came out and said, I don't understand PBD. I don't know, this is not right. What happened on October 7th, like I've been to Israel. It's a fortress. Like he kept saying that. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that clip first so we can set the tone, and then we can read this article. Charlie Kirk, PBD. And I know it's just not gonna actually, I might have found it. Y'all probably all over the place. Hold on. This is the most replayed, so
think about it, because so these guys are coming up. So what are we going to have, another 9/11? And they're going to come and do what? They're going to go into your community. What are they going to target next? Where are they going to go next? What's going to happen next? Oh, it's not a big deal. It's never happen again. Well, that's what we thought it was never going to happen, 9/11. Before 9/11 happened, nobody thought 9/11 was going to happen. Yep. So I just have way too many questions that makes me think about what the motives are. And if we go dark, I'll put all those things out there.
Yeah.
How did these guys not know this was taking place?
So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here. But I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes.
Wow.
6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools and by reports 6 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
That's suspect. Go ahead, Rob.
It's also not like a right-wing reporting. This is from the New York Times. The long
Thank
wait
you.
for help as massacre
this.
unfolds in Israel.
9
I can't think of a
hours.
more liberal news outlet than the New York Times.
And by the way, I'm actually very pro-Israel. So let me be very, so I'm not exact.
Well, I think we all are.
No, I just want to make sure my position is
the
clear
idiot?
here. But so Patrick, there are other explanations. It's possible that the Netanyahu government was double-crossed by bad agents. Okay? That's dark, but it's not as dark as what we're talking about. Okay? Another aspect is that Netanyahu might have traitors in his government, like legitimate traitors that have infiltrated. I was texting with some senior people in the IDF, and they said, Charlie, can't say too much, but let's just say the same problem you have with the left in America, we have here in Israel.
I want to know why Charlie Kirk was texting with senior officials in the IDF, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy really thought they were his friends, okay? So you was out here, like, straight chit-chatting with IDF. Like, I haven't watched this full clip in a minute, but it's like, Charlie, really? You were that much, like, connected? Like, that's a bit much. Like, you cannot trust these people, okay? That's number one. Number two, right? I want you to listen to this, not necessarily, and I'm gonna come to the comments after this, and we're gonna read that Media Matters thing, right? But I want you to listen to it as how free Charlie Kirk thinks he can talk. Okay.
So there's something to think about. Just something to think about, right? Is that maybe there's some people within those intel agencies that aren't as sympathetic. Or maybe, Patrick, maybe they might have gotten a tip. They might have gotten whispers, but no one thought it would be 1,200 Jews dead. That's a potential, right?
IDF killed them.
Because here's the essence of it. The essence is this. This is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have lived through. But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard right government has a mandate. I got to be careful the way I say this. They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's, and I don't use that term lightly. Okay.
Do y'all understand? My God, I'm so mad. I can't find the tweets after this. Like, I can't. I will look for them. We will look for them. Do y'all understand? Charlie Kirk, okay? Mr. Pro-Israel himself, Mr. Me and, you know, what did Erika Kirk say? Erika Kirk said, she said, we've been to Israel and we saw the Bible in Technicolor, whatever that means. Mr. Shabbat Shalom himself was the first conservative. We're gonna remove Nick Fuentes from this, what I'm saying, because at the time, a lot of people didn't know who Nick Fuentes was. He wasn't allowed to be on PBD and all that because he was already calling it a genocide from the month prior and everything. No, around this time as well, but he wasn't on these shows. We're talking about the conservatives who are allowed to talk, the pro-Israel conservative, the whole everything, the Tim Pools, the Benny Johnsons, the Stephen Crowders, the Candace Owens, the Charlie Kirk. This interview is from, I hate that it says 2 years ago. They get on my nerves. Like, there's a date. There's an actual date. But this came out in October like 13th or something, because you're going to see the Media Matters interview, article we're going to read. It's from like October 13th, 2023. Charlie Kirk, Mr. Israel himself, you could say, was the first ever conservative right-winger to use the word ethnically cleanse for Israel against Palestinians. Even if he didn't think he was saying anything wrong. I want to rewind that again. But the thing is, he knew he was saying something wrong. Watch this clip again, because you're going to see how he's like, I got to be careful how I say this. Why do you have to be careful? Okay.
So, Patrick, there are other explanations. It's possible that the Netanyahu government was double-crossed by bad agents. Okay? That's dark, but it's not as dark as what we're talking about. Okay? Another aspect is that Netanyahu might have traitors in his government, like legitimate traitors that have infiltrated. I was texting with some senior people in the IDF, and they said, Charlie, can't say too much, but let's just say the same problem you have with the left in America, we have here in Israel. So there's something to think about. Just something to think about, right? Is that maybe there's some people within those intel agencies that aren't as sympathetic. Or maybe, Patrick, maybe they might have gotten a tip. They might have gotten whispers, but no one thought it would be 1,200 Jews dead. That's a potential, right? Because here's the essence of it. The essence is this. This is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have lived through. But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard right government has a mandate. I got to be careful the way I say this. They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza.
Yep.
I mean, I don't use that term lightly. Okay. They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there. Okay. And honestly, they have a mandate to go seek justice and revenge. They do. There is this idea that they need to have a truce or a peace treaty. That's morally crap after you see women and children be burned alive and dragged to the streets.
Except for we didn't see
there are some serious questions here, Patrick. And let me tell you, my pattern recognition over the last 5 years has become pretty sharp. COVID, Maui fires, Epstein. When I see a story and it doesn't click, our guts are usually right.
This man thought he was free to talk how he wanted to talk. Okay. He thought he had freedom to say this and still take money from these people and still be talking to senior officials in the IDF. When I first saw this clip, I was like, And then when I saw the reaction for 2 seconds, it did cross my mind. I said, they're going to hurt that boy. But it crossed my mind for 2 seconds, and then I moved on. I said, they're going to hurt. They were pissed off. Joe Pollock came. He said, forget Shabbat. I got to go tweet something about Charlie Kirk. And I'm going to find that tweet before this night is over. Okay? Look at this face. He's like, God forgive me. He's like, okay, my gut is right. I'm right. And Patrick Bet David is such a weasel. Patrick, you are a weasel. He sat there. He was like, yeah, because Patrick was like, yeah, because I have questions. And Charlie's like, well, let me riddle you this one. And he didn't stop him at all. He's like, good. I'm glad he's saying. Patrick Bet David was thinking the same thing, but he just knew. He was like, I'm going to go ahead and let Charlie take care of that for me, because I'm not trying to get effed up out here. Even if my name is Bet David, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still not trying. Maybe like hopefully they remember that I am, part of them. But, I'm still going to let the Goyim go ahead and play himself. Okay. All right. Let me read some of y'all comments and then we can like that. I mean, the bull broke it down, but of course he broke it down. Charlie Kirk knew exactly who these people were. He should have been saying it for a long time, Okay. Thank you, Beatrix is enjoying the stream. Let me see. Manifest Destiny says, years ago now, when independent online news media was starting, the small hats decided they needed an agent of their own within it, and they chose Ben Shapiro. And that's just what it is at the end of the day. Listen, this is something I always say, and it's not about, I'm not making disclaimers. I always say this: if you start a grassroots something, the first two people are going to be genuine people who really want to start something. The third person is going to be One of them who like power and who need to control whatever it is that you're starting. It's just the truth. So Candace Topaz says, Candace smart. By the way, I always tell people I say Candace because that's how Andrew Tate always said. I gotta find that clip when he goes off like Candace, like he cannot say Candace to save his life. So anyway, Candace, smart, articulate, organized, clear-minded, focused, and teacher of the truth. I'm thankful she's the one to open Pandora's box for people could handle the chaos inside, but she organized it. Shout out to her. I will say that for real. You have to be a strong person. You really do. What is up, Mary Wilson? Thank you for coming through. Thank you for enjoying the content. By the way, guys, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. I see Nature's Nectar is up in here. Casey, my girl, what is up? Nature's Nectar. Jen made it through. Jen says, "Oh, I agree. I'm with her on two things. Tyler didn't do it, and Brigitte is a man. How it is this way doesn't matter." I just didn't care about the whole Brigitte being a man thing. I was like, I really just don't even care. Like, why is she talking about this? But whatever, it was her thing, and she got a lot of views talking about that. That's why when people are like, "Oh, she's getting money but with Charlie Kirk's name," it's like, come on, y'all, don't do that. Like, the Brigitte thing, a lot of people were watching, like hundreds of thousands of people watching it. Like, stop it. Also, if you're here, enjoy the content, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss the content. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, we discussed. He said it on PBD. What is up? Felicia says, "Hey, girly." I think Ben was or is the Israeli media gate. He absolutely is. No, we're about to get into that. Because Candace, she showed it on her show, and I'm going to show you what and that'll start. So what we'll do is we're gonna, after the comments, I'm gonna read this little quick thing that they wrote about Charlie Kirk. Then I want to show you the clip of Steve Bannon talking about Ben Shapiro. Remember when Ben Shapiro went and showed out on TPUSA stage? Erika Kirk sat there and let him do that. We probably should listen to a little bit of that too. We'll listen to a little bit of Ben Shapiro, and then we'll listen to Andrew. What is his name? Bannon talk about who Ben Shapiro really is, and then we'll go into start like connecting dots. Jem was saying very suspicious. I was seeing the live footage of one of the men who was shooting into the living rooms. I was like, where is the cops? Yeah, some of that stuff though I do believe was part of like, okay, let me not make excuses. I wasn't there. I just believe that they had like footage just kind of put together for us so that we would, because there's some footage that they say that there was that I've still not seen. Whatever. I don't want to, I got to be careful. I got to be careful like Charlie. I got to really be careful. I said, poor thing. He really did have to be careful. What is up, Liggy Lights says Charlie refused to concede to his bullies. XXY, I love him so much. He did refuse, even though it was more behind the scenes, and maybe that's why I was so mad. But it's okay, this is why they got rid of him. He turned on them, I believe. I mean, his mouth was going off here. And and then at the time when Charlie was saying this, like I said, I was afraid for him, but I don't think we really understood how pissed off they were mad. I just can't stop saying it. Like the same kind of traitors we have in Congress. Somebody says, wow. Unfortunately, Charlie knew the plan. This is crazy. Diva on deck says. So let me see. So you can't help but think the blue and white took him out and we covered it up. I'm just not gonna yield from it. Yeah. When you go back down memory lane, it's like, yeah. Yeah. It says adorable, deplorable. That's a cute name. It says, damn, Charlie kiddo, you just got too good for this world. Bless y'all from Texas. God bless you too. That's so sad. Yeah. So okay. I think, let me see what he's saying here. When Ben said there's $1 million check to TPUSA for more Christians, I knew he was Satan. Because Satan does not come as a dragon. I always say Satan comes as something you love, as like a piece of cake, or some type of like something you love, okay, to tempt you. Now that said, let us all right, let's read the Media Matters thing. Thank you guys again for coming through. I'm gonna read a little bit of the Media Matters. And also too, guys, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Let me make sure that my mic is still good. All right, my mic is still good. All right. If you close your eyes in the last few days, you might think the right-wing media were broadcasting from a time machine. They embraced 9/11 style Islamophobia in the wake of recent Hamas attacks in Israel. Jewish current. Wait, hold on a second, because this is odd. The rally around the flag moment. Wait a minute, especially Muslims who are subjected to the wave of hate crimes, whatever. I'm okay with it, Pollock said, having tweeted. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. This is why I hate it. The vast majority of they trying to come at, don't do that. They wrote, yo, okay, fine. I don't even care anymore. Whatever. I hate the internet now. I do. Like, I never can find what I'm talking about. So Media Matters, the reason why I was showing you this is because I covered this on That Girl Casey. And I have to go back and find a lot of footage because there's a lot of stuff that I swear is being scrubbed from the internet. So let me just explain this why I came here. Okay. When Charlie Kirk decided to run off his mouth like that on TPUS on PBD podcast and just explain the reality of a situation, the people got mad at it. I keep telling you, they woke up on Saturday. They said, forget all this. I don't need the goyim. I'm going to use my own phone. Okay. So I don't need a Shabbos square today because I'm going to curse out Charlie Kirk on Twitter with my own phone. Okay. I remember this because I was like, so anyway, and Joe Pollock was one of the main ones. Then after that, with Candace, I forgot when Candace exactly got fired, but when Candace got fired, she then they started doing hit pieces on Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, okay, from Media Matters. But the talk, like the talk from the grapevine was that Charlie Kirk was receiving pressure about not condemning Candace enough, and that's why they were calling him all kinds of anti-semantics, like Baron Coleman says, on Media Matters, because Charlie Kirk was not condemning her enough. So then TPUSA, they had this like really weird, but you have to, it's like if you go online and you put up TPUSA, PUSA.Israel or something like that, right? And it's not going to come up. I knew it. I knew it wasn't going to come up. But they had this weird type of thing where, because I looked it up before, they probably don't have it anymore, but I had looked it up and they were condemning Candace on like this platform, this website. But I don't think that Charlie Kirk had actually put that together himself. They were still going after Charlie Kirk on Media Matters. And then it through the grapevine, people were figuring out. And through the grapevine, the person who really figured it out was Nick Fuentes. Around that time, I used to watch his show a lot. And he said, he was like, Ben Shapiro is feeding stories to Media Matters. Even though Media Matters is a left-wing publication, he was saying like, this is how these people work together. He said, it doesn't matter. For them, it doesn't matter left or right. This is how they work together. So even though Media Matters is a left-wing publication, Ben Shapiro was still going to go and feed stories to them about Charlie Kirk because of the things that Charlie Kirk said and the fact that he won't fully condemn Candace Owens. So that's why, you know what I mean? Like, so Ben, and that is how they work together, right? That's exactly how they work together at the end of the day. They win no matter what, right? And that's why we should not be so distracted and divided. Anyway, so and I remember hearing that, and I had covered it. I made an episode about it, and I have to go back and I have to find this stuff because now I'm glad I made those episodes because when I go to look for these things that I used to read and see all the time, they're not there. They're not there. So, and Ben is in control of the conservative media. And this is why he said, we're going to pick up the bloodstained microphone, right? Remember that? How sick, by the way. We're going to pick up the blood, like Jesus Christ, bloodstain. He made sure to say bloodstain. These people, they can't help but be themselves. Okay. And I'm only going to make this disclaimer one time. Not all. I'm not talking about all Jews. I'm talking about a lot of Jews, though. All right. So anyway, because I hate disclaimers. So guys, please keep hitting that like button for me. So what we're going to do now, it's a shame. Look at Charlie. Charlie was like, God forgive me. God forgive me. But look at his face. He's like, you see, PBD? He's like, I unlocked the code. And PBD's like, you sure did. And And I don't have anything to do with that because the market is not going to come after me. So that's how, anyway, God forgive me. God forgive me. God forgive me. Hold on a second. All right. So now let me find the Ben Shapiro TPUSA speech. We only need to listen like 5 minutes of it. Don't look at his face, guys. He's like, watch this. I'm gonna he's like, fuck them. F them all these goy. Let me stop saying that. He's like, I'm about to destroy them. All right, let's get it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's obviously a massive honor to be here at Turning Point USA. It's even more of an honor to follow Erika Kirk, a heroic figure and a true American patriot. I really believe that the best way to judge a goodness of a man is to see the goodness of his wife and his children. And on that measure, Charlie was unsurpassed. Erika and her children are in all of our hearts. And of course, this is an incredibly bittersweet moment. It's absolutely bitter because of the murder of our friend Charlie Kirk, an irreplaceable human being. I knew Charlie from the time he was 18 years old, and I watched him build himself into one of the most powerful exponents of conservatism in America, one of the most powerful coalition builders in American history. But it's also sweet to see the number of people who continue to remember Charlie each and every day and to carry on his mission. Well, today, I want to talk about the future of the country. And the future of this country, this amazing country, relies on the future of the conservative movement.
Please, guys, hit that like button for me, guys. Let's get more people in here. Please hit that like button for me. Thank you.
It relies on what TPUSA defines as its core mission: freedom, free markets, and limited government. And most of all, the future of this country relies on truth. This country relies on truth because victory, true, real, lasting victory, cannot be achieved without truth. Victory without truth is victory for a lie, and that is no victory at all. And unity without truth is no unity. It is merely solidarity in falsehood. You see, we live in a chaotic time, and a time when lots of people are asking lots of legitimate questions about the conservative movement. What ought we to think about the relationship between free markets and traditional virtue? How should we craft a pragmatic foreign policy that spreads our interests and upholds our ideals? What governmental means are appropriate to achieve political ends? All of these questions aren't new, of course. They've been asked for as long as human beings have been talking about politics, thousands of years. And over the course of this conference, you'll hear a lot of opinions on a lot of these questions. I have my own perspectives on them, of course. You can hear them every single day on my show. My fundamental values have been the same for 25 years. Peace through strength on foreign policy. Traditional values on social policy. Free markets with regard to economics. But today, I want to talk about something even more important. How to discern those attempting to speak truth from frauds and grifters. Because something is new. An informational environment rife with both opportunity and chaos. Opportunity because the legacy media gatekeepers are no longer in charge of what we see and what we hear. And chaos because an anarchic informational environment means we actually have to be smart in how we assess the information and arguments that we hear. Why does that matter? Well, because today the conservative movement is in serious danger. It is in danger, not just from a left that all too frequently excuses everything up to and including murder. The conservative movement is also in danger from charlatans who claim to speak in the name of principle, but actually traffic in conspiracism and dishonesty, who offer nothing but bile and despair, who seek to undermine fundamental principles of conservatism by championing enervation and grievance. These people are frauds, and they are grifters, and they do not deserve your time. And they are something worse than that. A danger to the only movement capable of stopping the left from wrecking the country wholesale. So today, I want to discuss 5 obligations that people who speak to you on matters of importance have to you. I want to speak to you about our duties. Our first duty is truth. We owe you the truth. That means we should not mislead you.
Y'all don't have to worry. I'm not going to play all of this. I just want you to hear. Matter of fact, let me skip over. No, he put a. I just want you to hear like another 2 minutes of it. But he did call out some names. I really should just go through the transcript, right? Let's just go through the transcript. It's because I'm looking for that Joe Polak tweet. But let me go through the transcript because, excuse me. Here we go. I mean, he calls out Candace, but then he goes all the way, to Tucker Carlson and stuff like that. Plus, he was bickering with Tucker Carlson today. We're going to look at that as well.
So, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at TPUSA and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erika Kirk, and to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of TPUSA in Charlie's murder or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name. Erika Kirk and TPUSA never should have been put in the position to have to defend themselves against such specious and evil attacks, particularly in a time of mourning. And the people who refuse to condemn Candace's truly vicious attacks, and some of them are speaking here, are guilty of cowardice. Yes, cowardice. The fact that they have said nothing while Candace has been vomiting all sorts of hideous and conspiratorial nonsense into the public square for years is just as cowardly. Second, because we owe you the truth, we owe you the duty to speak out of principle, not personal feeling. It should not matter whether we despise someone or whether we love someone. The question is what they say and what they do, and whether those things are morally decent or not. On a political level, do they foster freedom, justice, and prosperity? On a personal level, do they treat others as they would wish to be treated? Personal feeling is not a substitute for moral judgment. To take again the Candace Owens situation as an example, friendship with public figures who say or do evil things is not an excuse for silence on the matter. Politics is not the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Politics is about principle, and if you are willing to sacrifice basic truth and simple principle in favor of emotional solidarity, you have betrayed your fundamental duty to the American people.
All right. Anyway, so I was looking for this tweet. I really hate the way this internet is scrubbed. Like it's starting to really be depressing. But we'll go into, because he called out like all these people, but we'll go into what today Candace shared with us with Steve Bannon's response. Remember when he acted like that on stage, Steve Bannon said he had about enough of the bush. So then he went and he responded. Matter of fact, and then it'll bring us into Andrew Breitbart and all of that.
Force within him. You could see that, the lightness in his eyes, the joy. He's a happy warrior. He wanted to build, not destroy. Michael Jackson had that creative spark. And then people surrounded him. Justin Bieber, I will say, finally looks like he has his creative spark back. He simplified things after breaking free from contracts that were costing him his soul. That's the moment that we're in right now in society. I really believe that. On a personal level, I've told you guys over and over again, and I will stand by this fact that Ben Shapiro behaves like a parasite. It's just a fact. If you just look at his history, it has been my experience with him, and I'm not the only one. Steve Bannon, the once executive chairman to Breitbart News, Ben's former employer, explained this, how after Andrew Breitbart died, I should mention young and under very suspicious circumstances, Ben attempted to take over Andrew's company. And when that failed, he plotted to take down the company because why can't he have it? Doesn't matter if he built it, it should be his. So take a listen to what Steve Bannon said at AmFest last December about Ben.
Ben Shapiro is like a cancer, and that cancer spreads. It's a cancer and it metastasizes. He tried to take over Breitbart and I ran him out of there. He tried to take over David Horowitz's, who was his mentor. Don't ask me. Ask the guys associated with David Horowitz what he did there. He tried to take that over. And mark my word, he will make a move on Turning Point because he's always been envious of Charlie Kirk.
I've marked those words. And what has become alarming is that Ben fixates. He does. He fixates. He cannot move on. He was fixated on Charlie Kirk all throughout his career. He is similarly fixated on Tucker Carlson. I mean, I worked at the Daily Wire, and it was totally bizarre to me how focused the executives were on Tucker, like they were in some competition. Tucker never spoke about Ben, and yet it was constantly this topic. Ben tried to stop Charlie's rise. I have said that repeatedly, and he gave him trouble all throughout his career. That is a fact. Charlie first thought he looked up to Ben, and then in 2018, as soon as Ben got envious, exactly what Bannon is referring to, it switched, and he began doing the stuff that he does behind the scenes because, well, he just thinks it's supposed to be his, and he's looking for a host. Now, I have tried to execute, believe it or not, a lot of restraint in sharing.
All right, so we'll just go from there. But yeah, so all right, we heard Ben, we heard what who who is the person who's like on point right now? Sorry. Let me read some stuff. Mary Faith says Erica's Barbie in MAGA, he is Ken, facts. Seriously, like, but that is how they look at her though. I'm so scared of you shaking your finger at us, Ben. You're so intimidated. So, okay. So somebody did a comparison. Who's this Gritzer? A group of women reported that they were approached at their resort to attend AmFest as a rent crowd. They were told to scream. Ben speaks the truth. We love Erika. JD Vance for president. I believe that. No, because nobody's falling for the BS. They keep trying to tell us that they are, but then nobody's falling for the BS. Erika Kirk. Erika managed to make Meghan Markle look like an angel. I actually do compare them to. Borderline personality disorder is really like in their face. And I know, I can understand Steve Bannon's not everybody's cup of tea, but Steve Bannon is intricate to what he just said. It is important. Now, I just sat here and spent all this time looking for this freaking post about what Joe Pollak said about Charlie Kirk, and I know I have it, and it is frustrating. Let me tell you again, it's frustrating that I can't find it because I know I had it because then I retweeted it. I tell you, these people, I'm really starting to feel like they go in and just keep on erasing. Just bear with me. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Hold on. Because I know it's in here because I had took a picture of it. It's just so irritating. I would say we'll avenge you, John. Just but bear with me, guys. We see what I talk about a lot. Israel lobby. Like, excuse me. Wow. Oh, that's when my little channel was growing. So let me see. These are okay. Some of my posts were thorough, but I just cannot find this thing at all. Oh, unreal. Like, so unreal. Oh, this is a pretty picture. All right, sorry, y'all. Sorry. What was happening here? Sorry, guys, bear with me. I'm gonna have to find. I'm gonna find it because I found it before, and I'll find it again. But it is the most frustrating thing when I harp on something like this because I know I saw it. I know that okay, so it's not down here because once you start seeing pictures like this is when I was like hardcore MAGA, Salem news media. Oh my god, I'm going to also like, I mean, like that's when I was hardcore. Like, I'm gonna see Dennis Prager's talk. Oh my god, I'm so MAGA. We're gonna win. And then yeah, September 11. Wow. September 11, 2023. And then like less than a month later, I was gonna be like, wait, what? What? Wait, what do you mean? Wait, Israel, wait, genocide. Hold up. What? Balfour Declaration? Wait a minute. What? World War II? Huh? Hitler? What? Man, oh boy. So I won't continue to go and keep looking for this. This is just gonna have to be something for another video that I do because then I'm getting a little lost in the weeds here. So we're gonna go straight into this whole Andrew Breitbart thing that I was talking about. Bear with me again because I have to play the clip that I did play on one of my videos. Hold on. Oi. I can't tell you like how much stuff do I hit. Here we go. All right, finally. Okay. Oh, let me read the super chat first. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, I got a super sticker. Thank you. On is saying good job. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you. What do I have? What is this? All right. And then Laura says, I'm glad to know the crowd is a paid one. It's hard to imagine anyone actually being thrilled with anything TPUSA or Erika said. Okay. No, mad actors, yo. Yeah, MAGA is ended. Now we've been hoodwinked. Well, we were hoodwinked, but we're waking up to the hoodwink, right? So okay, let me play this clip. And I put it. Sorry.
Ben. But do you know somebody who used to work at Breitbart News, which was started by Netanyahu?
It was. Wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. Andrew Breitbart worked closely with Netanyahu to start Breitbart News. But a man who worked at Breitbart News said recently that when he worked at Breitbart, he saw Israeli Mossad agents delivering information to Ben Shapiro to put out in his videos.
What is this world?
Shapiro is, whether he's paid or not paid, he is an Israeli intelligence asset. He's an operative.
אני בנימין שפירו, בנם של דוד וקיילה שפירו. As a Jew and as an American, I light this torch in honor of Israel, a land of heroes and dreamers who stand together as a united wall against the enemies of Western civilization. וצאו עצה ותופר, דברו דבר ולא יקום, כי עמנואל.
I'm Israel Shai, Israeli Shurin Benjamin Shapiro. God, like all the time. Look, I respect people's cultures, I do. But I do take it a little I take it a little personal when they use their cultures to come remove the sovereignty of my country. I wouldn't appreciate it if there was a message just retracted. Okay. I wouldn't appreciate it if Haitians did it. If it was Haitians doing it, I'd tell y'all, go get them voodoo, them Haitians. They doing some voodoo here. Go get them. So I'm going to say it with him. Ben Shapiro literally said, like, the reason why he lives in America is for the benefit of Israel. So, like, how's that any different? How's that any different? So Andrew Breitbart. Who's Andrew Breitbart? So Andrew Breitbart, let's take a look. And so this is the research part of our show. Because I have looked up Andrew Breitbart before, so he should really come right up. Andrew Breitbart he was born in 1969 and he died in 2012. Candace said he died under mysterious circumstances. Where is the death? Interesting. Okay. I want to get Breitbart was married to no. Hold on. At around 11:30 p.m. Pacific time on February 29, 2012, Breitbart collapsed on a street near his home. He was rushed to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. So he just dropped dead, literally. The autopsy showed that he had a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy with focal coronary atherosclerosis, died from congestive heart failure, which he had been diagnosed with a year before. Now, the thing about congestive heart failure, and even in 2012, it really should not be killing you. You know what I mean? Like, it should not really be killing you like that. Especially not in 2012. Like, I don't understand. There was no reason why Andrew Breitbart necessarily, with the kind of money that I'm sure he had, was killed by congestive heart failure. A man who should have been on Lasix, I'm sure, and maybe some digoxin at that time. They used to love giving that just to make sure the heartbeat was, strong. Because congestive heart failure, really, it has to do with having too much fluid around your heart and things like that. Whatever. He dropped dead. So, yeah, rumors of heart attack while he was jogging. And it's like, whatever. But it says, he played a central role in generating media coverage on Anthony Weiner scandal, the firing of Shirley Sherrod. I don't know what that is. I forgot. I don't know. Acorn 2009 undercover video controversies. Commentators such as Nick Gillespie and Connor Frittersorf have credited Breitbart with changing how people wrote about politics by showing how the internet could be used to route around information bottlenecks imposed by official spokesmen and legacy news outlets. Now, here's something I found interesting about Andrew Breitbart when I started looking him up. Now, the thing is, I've heard this name and that he was like, a pioneer and the whole bit. And I actually do believe that. And I personally think that he probably was moving for the good of the people. I do believe that. But I never read any of his stuff. And in 2012, I certainly didn't care. I didn't. I was working. I was making some good money. I was out shopping with my friends. So I didn't give a damn. Okay. All right. But his early life, because they actually still have an early life on Breitbart. Breitbart was born into Irish American parents in Los Angeles, February 1st, 1969. So this is an Irishman. Andrew Breitbart was a white man, Irishman. Let's keep that thought. According to his birth certificate, his biological father was and if anybody else knows stuff about Andrew Breitbart and all of this, you could drop it in the comments, because I'm, just waking up to a lot of this stuff. When he was 3 weeks old, he was adopted by Gerald and Arlene Breitbart, a restaurant owner and banker, respectively, and grew up in the affluent neighborhood of Brentwood. Sorry, y'all. His adopted family was Jewish. His mother had converted to Judaism when marrying his father. Breitbart studied at Hebrew school and had a bar mitzvah. Can somebody please tell me why Breitbart was just suddenly adopted? Why did these people have to give up their kid? Because I thought they were killed or something. And I don't really see that. Breitbart attended Brentwood School, one of the country's top private schools, but did not distinguish himself, saying, "My sense of humor saved me." However, he discovered that he loved writing, publishing his first comedic piece in the school newspaper, the Brentwood Eagle, analyzing the inequality in his high school senior and junior parking lots. One had a Mercedes and BMWs, the other Ciceros and GTIs. Breitbart remembers his upbringing as apolitical, except in one instance when the family rabbi tried to defend Jesse Jackson against charges of anti-Semitism after his Town comment. I don't even know. His parents left the synagogue in protest. How were they his parents? You know, how were they his parents? Joe Pollack, who was the editor at Breitbart, wrote about how Breitbart's life and fire extended to Judaism. Andrew was proudly and playfully Jewish. In the last days of his life, he wondered openly about observing Shabbat, even as he continued to tease me about not eating bacon and shrimp cocktails. More than once, he burst into Hebrew school songs or parts of his bar mitzvah portion while working at his desk across from mine, partly to amuse me and partly to entertain himself. It's just this whole, okay. And it's like, this is the thing, right? So, you know, I'm not going to read all of this stuff about Breitbart, right? But what they want you to know is that the man was born an Irishman who would have, Irish people, they're like Christian, would have grew up a Christian, but for some reason was adopted by Jewish parents, and that he loved being Jewish. Like that's just, you know, the last moments of his life, last days of his life, he was singing Shabbat Shalom for me because he was just busting out into songs. It's like, okay, you guys, y'all can have him. Now, the reason why, so Breitbart is a huge publication, right? So the reason why I'm bringing this up, and then you hear Steve Bannon saying stuff like, okay, you know, okay, so Ben Shapiro wanted to run up in Breitbart and switch it out and take it over. Well, Ben Shapiro was there for a little bit, but I guess it didn't work. And then you have Rick Wiles saying that Ben Shapiro, while he was at Breitbart, IDF was coming in and giving him the stories. And I remember hearing that. Right? The thing about these people is what I noticed is that they come along early. In 2012, nobody was thinking really about conservative media unless you were hardcore into politics, right? Because we were out, like, most people were, I don't want to say on the left, but like, because, you know, people were like watching, you know, movies and actual Emmy awards, and we were into things like that, right? So people weren't thinking about conservative media. People still trust the news. Okay. But these people, they know early that they want to control the narrative. And I asked this, like, who's Ben Shapiro? Because, you know, I wake up and I just, you know, I started, I started going on YouTube one day because there was just too much. I'm gonna look that up real quick too. Diva on deck. That's a good question. There were just too many lies being told to us, and I was like, I need to just turn on this YouTube and just drop a couple things off. It was around the time of the Great Cough. I was like, people are being lied to, and I don't like that, right? And so news was becoming decentralized, and they know that, right? And so if news is going to become decentralized, how are they going to be able to control it? So how they control it is to already have people picked out, place them in certain places, and start pushing the movement, right? And don't get me wrong, I know there were a lot of there controversies like Marxism, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, around that time and stuff is being pushed. All of a sudden, it's like when Trump became president, but even before, you know, the talks about racism had just, you know, really got it re-injected. If you think about it, before Obama became president, and it was Bush and all of that, it was like we were united because it was after September 11th. Now, sadly, unfortunately, you know, there were a lot of Muslims who were targeted around that time and stuff like that. But it was after 9/11. But it was a time of like patriotism. People were joining the army. We were going to fight. We're going to save the country. So there wasn't that much talk about race this, race that. But around the time when Obama came, now we've got to move on to different things. We already got the Americans. They're in the war with Iraq. They can't say no. We picked up their heartstrings, and we even have people like Pat Tillman, who's making millions of dollars as a football player, who could have just mind his business and would have still been alive today, probably. But now we have him even fighting in our wars. Okay, so we're done. We're there. Okay, we're there, and then Obama really was a big disappointment in many ways, right? And then we were even right. We're gonna have a hope and a change, but everything started to fissure into left and right. And I'm not going to act like I remember how white people were feeling around that time, like towards the end of Obama's presidency, because again, I told you I didn't care. But what I know was that a lot of white people that I knew who were Democrats, let's try not to spam the chat though. And please don't forget to hit the like button. So a lot of people, white people who I knew were Democrats, were voting for Trump. And I was like, why y'all voting for Trump? And at the time, I was a Democrat. But the thing is, I didn't want to vote for Hillary, but we're not even going there. And I was like, well, why y'all voting for Trump? Like, what? And they're like, well, he could shake some things up. He can make things. But I didn't realize that these people didn't want to tell me that they felt like Obama, don't get me started. And all our doctors rushes to site. Wait. Yeah, but don't so they didn't want to tell me like, oh, I feel some type of way, like the messaging is doing something, it's becoming a little anti-white. They didn't want to tell me that. I didn't realize it, and then it's not for me to realize, because I told you I was just moving on. And so I don't want to have to take anybody off, y'all. Stop playing. So anywho, so then this is now they have the left, right. Don't trust the media. And the fake news media. And Trump came in and said the things that needed to be said. Trump came in saying, we shouldn't have been in war with Iraq. And in Iraq, we shouldn't have went to the so he was a real one. Okay, that's what you're telling me. He was saying, we shouldn't have went. He was saying regular stuff, right? And he was like a big deal. But there's a theory that Trump was a Trojan horse, right? To be the face of division while coming in saying the things that needed to be said. And getting people on the MAGA bandwagon. Now, Andrew Breitbart dies in 2012. This is a man who believes in the truth. And maybe he's into what they would call this is what it seems like to me anyway. I don't know. But what they would call peddling conspiracies. Maybe they need to get him out of here, right? Somebody's spamming with look, I can't do this. Like, you do not have to put that many flags. I don't care if it's like one or two, but like, come on, yo. Because look at this stuff again. I'm gonna read it again. What Wooly said. Breitbart is the one who said politics is downstream of culture. He probably already saw the change happening and all of that. He also accused Tony Podesta of those kind of slice crimes, if we will. This is a guy who owns a big conservative media company, and he's talking about things in some sort of reality. They can't have that. How are they going to control you if this person is talking about realistic type of things? Now, so let's go back to this, and I just because I need to know why was he adopted? So I just want to know this real quick, and I'm gonna get to the point that I'm making. Andrew Breitbart was adopted as an infant because his what? So they just who was the person who said that they used to Yeah, and who's the person who said, somebody said that they used to just take them kids, right? So he was just adopted as an infant because, well, apparently his biological parents relinquished him shortly after his birth. Specific personal reasons or circumstances regarding his biological parents' decision to put him up for adoption are not part of the public record. He subsequently adopted at 3 weeks old by Gerald and Arlene Breitbart. Well, you know. Okay, so it's kind of freaky. So I want to now bring your attention to, and oh my God, do I not hit? It is a little on the frustrating side because it looks like I did not hit. But there he is. All right, cool. I want to bring your attention to this guy. I want you to listen to him first.
Israel has a powerful stranglehold on the American government. They control both members of the House and the Senate. They have us involved in wars of which we have little or no interest. Our children are coming back in body bags. Our nation is bankrupt over these wars. And if you open your mouth, you get targeted. And if they don't beat you at the poll, they'll put you in prison. It's an objective assessment that no one will have the courage to speak about. They're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. Wolfowitz, as Undersecretary of Defense, manipulated President Bush #2 back into Iraq. They pushed definitely to try and get Bush before he left to move into Iran. We're conducting an expansionist policy of Israel, and everybody's afraid to say it.
Okay. This is James Trafficant. All right. James Trafficant, and you heard what he said, how many AIPAC owned puppets dancing on Zionist strings are there in Senate? You have to understand, like hearing that now today, it's like we just see the memes and it's so normalized that I don't think we really feel the grip of what somebody is saying at that time in like early 2000s, right? Here's a little, here's the late James Trafficant, RIP, one of America's true patriots. This comes to us from somebody named Giuseppe. Shout out to them. We're conducting the expansionist policy of Blue Star State, and everybody, I gotta be careful because this guy's name is who? Okay, like there's a reason why you haven't heard this name. We're conducting the expansionist policy of Blue Star State, and everybody's afraid to say it. They, boom, control much of the media and everything. So we just heard him say it all this. Now somebody straight says that he was ended by those people at his farm. Now, the way you want to, because James Trafficant, yes, he is dead. He is dead. Now, he did a report one time and an interview one time, and he said, hold on a second. Let's look at what he said to Hannity here. Okay? Hold on.
Israel and quote, Jewish people, they're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. What do you mean by that? Because that sounds to me like a bizarre conspiracy theory. Why would you say something like that when it's just, first of all, patently untrue?
Number one, I served in Congress for 17 years. I've seen members question bills and votes on how does Israel feel about this. I must have heard that every time there was a significant vote.
And here's what I said, Chris. I said, I want to apologize to all the hookers in America for having associated them with the United States House of Representatives. Yeah, I think it's a big whorehouse.
Explain to me what you'd see as, why you target or why you have a grudge against the Israelis.
The grudge is not necessarily a grudge. It's an objective assessment that no one will have the courage to speak about. They're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. Wolfowitz, as Undersecretary of Defense, manipulated President Bush #2 back into Iraq. They pushed definitely to try and get Bush before he left to move into Iran. We're conducting an expansionist policy of Israel. Everybody's
We saw that part. I could go on. So why do I bring up James Trafficant? Now, and some of this is in my head, okay? Bear with me. And this is, you know what this is? This is the introduction to the theory. because I've even been looking for certain software and stuff like that to look up. So I want to start tracking finances. I want to start tracking a lot of different things. Okay. This is an introduction to a theory, and I want to work backwards from this theory. Now, here's the theory. James Trafficant, and I asked Chat GPT, was James Trafficant the leader of the Tea Party? Okay. So and I'm gonna keep talking about James Traffic. This is gonna be more. So y'all really gonna have to support me and hit that like button, because I'm treading on some serious, like some stuff that like they don't want us to come. Why is my computer freezing? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all right. Let me not do the whole the Israelis are freezing my computer. But you know, I'm treading on stuff that they want people to forget. Excuse me. First off, God. I'm gonna come back to this tab again. So James Trafficant. So when I saw a clip of him when he said that he was talking about Israel, he said people who talk about, he was like, people who talk about oh, it's so annoying. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. Let me he was like, people who talk about this topic, he said they will get in trouble, they'll get ended and all of that. And then, you know, he was ended. Well, he's not alive, and he actually went to jail over some like nonsense money laundering. We know how it goes, right? Like there's always a money laundering. Okay. Like when they need to get you RICO, there's always a money laundering. I'm gonna kick this person out. Yeah, sorry, hold on. I'm not doing this. Okay. We took care of the problem. We got the roach out. So anyway, so hold on. Come on. So anyway, so he was in jail for a little while. So there was something called the Tea Party movement that was starting in like 2008, probably like, and then going into 2010, right? And this was a populist movement. Now the reason why, oh man, I thought somebody had already you know, archived this article. This is gonna be so annoying if it takes too long to archive. I'm just gonna like not even, please just archive. I really would have thought somebody would have archived this a long time ago. This article's not even that. I hope it doesn't take long, y'all. So irritating. Every time I go look for an article, it's already archived. So whatever. So while that's happening, I'll just put it back to his face. So anyway, there was something called, and I could explain what I'm talking about. So there was something called a Tea Party movement back in the like early 2010s, stuff like that. And they were actually a real, you know how people say, we need to have the third party. We need to have the third party or whatever. And then people are like, it's not going to do anything. Like, just, it's pointless or whatever. This Tea Party movement, which consisted of conservatives, but it was a real like American caucus type of like party. Okay. That party was coming up, and I thought James Trafficant was the leader of the party. I don't think that he was necessarily the leader, but like when it started, but he became close with the party. When he got out of jail, he was doing like speeches and stuff at the party. And that party, I don't want to call it just an anti-Israel party, but it was probably like the beginnings of group of people coming together in our government to say, we have to put America first. Now, obviously, I don't think that these people, you know, and I'm saying I don't think because I wasn't paying attention. I don't think that they sound like how we do today. But in hindsight, you know, you see, oh, here we go. It actually worked. In hindsight, you see, you know, what we see most of the negative aspects of our greatest ally, right? So this particular article, just to get kind of maybe, show you the thought processes of a Tea Party, right? This article comes to us, it is from 2010. And so the question, of course, look whose face is on here. The demon himself, right? The demon is on here. And so the article is saying, let me go back to it. The Tea Party, a blessing or curse for Israel. So this party wasn't just a little jokey joke party. This is an NBC article, okay? So it made it enough mainstream that NBC were covering these people, right? And it says the fresh Republican support for Israeli government after U.S. midterm elections may be offset by Tea Party suspicion of foreign aid. Hey, I really didn't read this, huh? When Prime Minister Demon of Blue Star State came to the United States recently for another round of tense talks with the Obama administration, he got a decidedly warmer welcome from one of the rising Republican stars on Capitol Hill, Representative Eric Kirk. So we're going to end up having to look into this guy for another time, right? Eric Kirk. The incoming majority leader of the House. But while Mr. Cantor and other newly empowered Republicans are eager to promote themselves as Blue Star State's staunchest defenders in Washington, the reconfigured American political landscape is a more complex and unpredictable backdrop for Middle East peacemaking. Scores of Tea Party-backed candidates are entering Congress. Okay, so this is a group of these backed candidates, right? So these hardliners, if you will, who had the ear of American public, this is a populist group, and the people are supporting them, and they're making their way in. Scores of Tea Party. Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah. Why am I being botted? I already got to deal with bots on freaking on Twitter. I don't think that I should have to deal with them on whatever this thing is called, YouTube. Anyway, scores of Tea Party backed candidates are entering Congress, many of whom favor isolationist policies. Remember, Mark Levin says if you're an isolationist, you're just evil, right? And are determined to cut American foreign aid regardless of its destination. My God, it's like it's almost like Groundhog's Day, right? I'm gonna make myself a little bit bigger because, like, reading the article, then you guys can see me instead of the small writing. Okay, so it's literally Groundhog's Day. Rand Paul, the newly elected Tea Party backed senator from Kentucky. When I read this, I was like, what? I didn't know that about him. Bluntly told American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, an influential pro-Israel lobbying group, that they were going to disagree about the need for foreign aid and suggest that they move on to other topics, according to a person briefed on the meeting. One of the first things Congressman Cantor can do is to make sure that his colleagues vote for aid to Israel. This is what Senator Charles E. Schumer, Democrat of New York, who also met with the demon, Mr. Schumer, and others worry about supporting. Now, this is a Democrat. Support for Israel in Congress, long bipartisan article faith, could become politicized in a way that will end up harming Israel's interests. We keep trying. That's crazy, because it's like, all right, I'll keep that thought to myself. In the recent election, the administration's Middle East policy became a partisan issue, seized on by several Republicans who pointed out that President Obama had tended to take a tougher line against Israel. This is true, even though Obama destroyed Syria and Libya for Israel, something that I hope he asked God for forgiveness every day for. It still wasn't enough, because it gave some pushback. And never forget, Obama is the reason for the JCPOA with Iran, and that Iran was able to, be able to come up with some sort of enriching of uranium. Okay. That's a whole different subject. I'm talking about the old Iran, not today's Iran. Alan West, a Black Republican, focused on it with great success in a heavily Jewish coastal district of Florida. Representative John A. Boner, an Ohio Republican who was House Speaker designate sent out fundraising literature aimed at Jewish voters, criticizing the administration for its pressuring of Israel on issues like settlements. Yeah, Obama did give them a hard time about that. That was the first time I had seen Israel use a partisan political way, said Representative Gary L. Ackerman, a New York Democrat and outgoing chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee on Middle East and South Asia. As a political matter, lawmakers do not have that kind of leverage over Middle East policy that they have on matters required. Okay, so we know. All right, but Congress is far from powerless. Lawmakers can apply pressure. All right. I just want to get down. Mr. and Mrs. Clinton gave conciliatory speeches to Jewish groups reaffirming America's commitment to Israel's security. Okay, this is during the Obama administration. Okay, defiant response to Obama. Mr. Netanyahu's demons post-midterm election tour of the United States seemed to reflect his more powerful political backing. He delivered a speech calling on Obama to harden his policy towards Iran. And when the president voiced measured criticism of Jewish housing in contested in East Jerusalem, the settlements, Demon office fired back with a defiant response. Okay, so they're talking about the back and forth. And then it says, it's my strong belief that U.S. security goes hand in hand with Israeli security. I know this stuff is boring. I just need y'all to, like, to me, it's not, though, because it's framing a problem, right? It's framing a problem that's been happening for a long time that we keep coming back to. So it's my strong, okay, so blah, blah, blah. All right, bet. Yet the Tea Party-backed lawmakers remain something of a mystery. One of their brightest stars, Marco Rubio, went on a personal trip to Israel after winning his Florida race. But pro-Israel analysts point that Mr. Paul once said he did not view an Iran with nuclear bomb as a threat. Shout out to him, though he has subsequently been more hawkish. To be sure, there will only be Republican voices staunchly in Israel corner. So anyway, so basically, this thing was a bit of a threat, okay? It was a bit of a threat that NBC decided that they needed to go ahead and write an article about the Tea Party. And it was quite early in the game when they decided to do that, right? To write this article, okay? Now bring in James Traficant. Now I just played you James Traficant and the stuff that he was saying. And when he got out of jail, he started speaking at Tea Party rallies and things like that. Okay? What happens with these people is that they listen. I'm going to play James Traficant for you one more time, and I'm going to hope to find the clip of where Trump said the wars in Iraq is a waste of time. Hold on. I want you to hear the other one. I like this one a little better.
Israel has a powerful stranglehold on the American government. They control both members of the House and the Senate. They have us involved in wars of which we have little or no interest. Our children are coming back in body bags. Our nation is bankrupt over these wars. And if you open your mouth, you get targeted. And if they don't beat you at the poll, they'll put you in prison. It's an objective assessment that no one will have the courage to speak about. They're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. Wolfowitz, as Undersecretary of Defense, manipulated President Bush #2 back into Iraq. They pushed definitely to try and get Bush before he left to move into Iran. We're conducting an expansionist policy of Israel, and everybody's afraid to say it.
This is 2010, 2000, like really. By the way, too, this is also, you hear what he said. Wolfowitz, basically got Bush to go into Iraq, which Bush would have just had to do anyway. Wolfowitz was the one who helped write the clean break memo. 7 countries, all that. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? It's disrespectful. So you got a James Traficant, right? He's no joke, right? This guy's no joke. He's coming. He was saying it all. And he was like, and if you don't vote for them, you're going to go to jail. You get ended. Like that was sound. Today is like, we're just like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's usually what that had to sound crazy around that time. Like, what is he saying? And then they get called anti-semantics for it. Okay. Then you have, because when, oh my God, my favorite Pat Buchanan, when he was saying that our Congress is Israeli occupied territory. That's all he said. And he got destroyed for it. This one went on a whole different, like he went even furthermore to say you will get threatened and hurt if you don't, you know what I mean, bow down. Okay? That's not what Buchanan was saying. This one was uncontrollable. And they had already put him in jail. He went to jail for, I think it was, again, money laundering with some nonsense. Came back out and still was hyped. Still was speaking. And I have to do more information, you know, just like more research on James and listen to more of his speeches, right? But then he dies. And so he dies. That's what they call it. And I'm going to come out of here because I'm going to just do this real quick. James Traficant death date. Let me know if my mic still sounds right. September 24, 2014, at the age of 73. Yeah. 4 days after some critical tractor injury on his family farm, the same farm that the man grew up in the whole time, basically, and knew how to use the tractor. But suddenly today he didn't. There was some weird thing where the tractor ran over him. Okay. Whatever. So we don't even, I mean, honest to God, they just tell us whatever, right? And so then I was like, well, okay, so 2014. I told you he was making headway. God, what is wrong with this thing? Like every time, okay. Yeah. Ooh, mama. So then I said, when did Trump come down the escalator? Trump came down the escalator when he basically it's just so annoying, honestly. The campaign launch, yeah, on June 16, 2015, after James Traficant was, you know, the tractor just happened to run over him. And I want you to hear, this is supposed to be, now I really hope that I got the right thing here.
We turn now to Saturday night's Republican debate in Greenville, South Carolina. It was the 9th Republican debate of the election cycle. Donald Trump and Jeb Bush had a tense exchange over George Bush's record in Iraq.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, you can take it any way you want. And it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, it took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It took him 5 days before his people told him what to say. And he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
I'm sick and tired of Barack Obama.
Okay, so it sounds awesome, right? It's like, oh shoot. Because the thing is, the stuff that we were hearing, James, the stuff that we just heard James Traficant say in the news, even though he was on the news, did it really go mainstream? Did people keep talking about it? No, they didn't. They didn't keep talking about it. And then one day you wake up and, you know, you just hear first of all, Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump, who's saying, oh, and it sounds like conviction, but it's not quite. We have to be kidding. So this is what I mean. Who's saying the bare minimum? Back then, this was not the bare minimum. This was not the bare minimum. Back then, this was like, what? This guy just said, nobody talked like this in debates. And Donald Trump had no problem saying Iraq was a mistake. It was a mistake. But Iraq was not a mistake, right? Today, we know that. Back then, it seems like he's pushing the line, but this is what's called a limited hangout. We didn't realize this was what they were giving us. When we had the opportunity to have, unfortunately, he was ended. We had the opportunity to have maybe a James Trafficker, who knows? Maybe he would have ran for president, but he certainly was becoming the leader of this kind of like Tea Party movement. And so then I asked Chat GPT before, what happened to the Tea Party movement? And then it basically said what I already know. It was basically reconfigured into MAGA. So you have a party that was making headway, that even got Rand Paul in, really a grassroots party that could have became something. And they said, now it became MAGA. When I'm done, I'm almost done with all of like this theory. Okay. Now, like I said, Trump sounds like the boss here. But remember, James Trafficking said Bush was pushed to go into Iraq for them. And this talking point just would not go away. Okay. It just wouldn't go away. So what if we take this talking point and we rebuild it to make it sound good, but a little less? Enter in Charlie Kirk. So then I went back. So now I said Trump decided that he was going to come down the escalator June 16, 2015. So I asked this thing, when was Charlie Kirk discovered and TPUSA started? Turning Point USA was started in 2012. And it, and I'm not going to go into because this is the introduction. Okay. It was started in 2012. And what was really Turning Point USA? It was, it started off with the whole free market, whatever, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? But it pushed Trump. It did push Trump. By 2015, I remember seeing Charlie Kirk on stage. I didn't know his name. But I remember seeing him talk about Trump. I remember seeing that. What if, right? And you're like, well, where does Ben Shapiro fit in? I did. So the Leah files, and we'll have to go through that again, but I'm getting ready to go because it's 12:45 and I'm like exhausted, right? This is how much you have to like prime just to get to the point of like, well, who is Ben Shapiro? Turning Point USA, the donors, and I'm going to go back and look at Leah's files to see when these people started donating to Turning Point USA and making it pro-Israel. And Ben Shapiro himself didn't like Trump, right? But, he gets emotional. That's why he's not the best of an agent, because he does get his emotions get in the way, right? These people cannot relinquish America to the people. I mean, now they have so much control over all our infrastructure, whatever. So they have to give us these illusions, okay? And this is why, as a Christian, it's like the stuff that we see in the Bible when they say, oh, don't believe this, false prophets, that. There's a reason for it. And I'm believing it more and more. Look, to me, when I voted for Trump in 2020, I mean, you couldn't tell me that wasn't my family member. I seen that man twice. There is something he does. They know how to pick him. They pick him good. There's something he does to you where you're just like, USA. Like I don't know if he still has it in him now because we know what it is. You know what I mean? Second term, so they don't care. But that first term Trump, yeah, they gave us this man and we thought, oh man, not me. Now I wasn't in the first term Trump. I didn't get into Trump until towards the end of his first term. And we'll talk about that. But it's all of it. It's the whole Andrew, the Breitbart media being, controlled, right? Then you get a Tea Party movement that's making headway, that's saying, listen, what's up with this Israel stuff? What's going on with that? And then it's like, you know, and then it's like, shut it down. Shut it down. But guess what? We know that the people are starting to notice. They're starting to notice. So we still have to give them something else. This is my theory. And the guy, my theory, I'm not going to say his name. And the guy, okay? And because he wasn't officially a leader of it anyway, but we know where this was getting ready to go. He seems a little unruly. We put his ass in jail, and he's still talking trash about us. And the guy, break up this little movement, and we'll have to find out how that happens. Give them this powerhouse. I don't know if Trump knew he was being, I don't know. Give them this powerhouse. He'll say the thing, but he won't say it the way the guy did, right? And also, we're going to build the movement around him. Enter in Charlie Kirk. We already had Ben Shapiro, the IDF agent, who's now, and here you go. Here's your job, Ben Shapiro. Your job is to make sure everybody stays in check. You only give the money to the people who will stay in check. And you make sure the narrative is under control. Okay? This is a long story. It is a long story. It is. But the thing is, I will say, to end it here for now, because I'm going to get ready to go. I mean, when I tell you long story, it is a long story. I'm going to also look at some of the stuff you were saying. You guys were saying, let me first read this before I give my ending monologue, whatever. Too much in the hands of the government. There should be voting pools for things ever. If your city hosts Olympics or FIFA. Okay, yeah. The Tea Party refers to the time, but yeah, America, the Boston Tea Party, yeah. But there was something I saw. Let me see. Does anyone remember the Illuminati cards and what it was saying Trump was? It's playing out right now. No, Diva, I don't remember. But geez, did you put it? Like, I would love to have known. Like, I'm gonna have to look that up, girl. Well, in the end, Trump fell for it. They have him by the balls. They have something on him. They don't need to have anything on him. You know that they own so much of our infrastructure. All they got to tell this person is like, if you don't do what we tell you, we will shut America off. We will literally shut off the lights, the gas, the everything else. I'm telling they can hack into anything and shut anything down. You don't even need to worry about, they got the nuke pointing at us. They don't even need the nuke. We've allowed them to take over everything. And let me see. Unfortunately, the president's our own JFK was put in power by the mob. But then he and his brother tried to turn on them. They both got ended. They wanted to do the right thing. No, yeah. Laura, they got ended by the same people that we're talking about. Laura. And that's like, oh my God, there's a live. I did a live on RFK. Oh my God. Everybody always talks about the JFK ending and how much like mess and holes are involved with that. You haven't seen anything yet until you look at the RFK ending. Oh my God. The holes on that are ridiculous. I'm going to have to do another live about that again. Now, the money, the dirty money that they got to start up, and this is the Kennedy money, how it was started up. It was from the Irish mafia, you know what I'm saying, who was like giving them money, and the dad was like flipping the money or whatever. They were looking out for each other, whatever. And I'm actually not quite that mad about it. But their father was hardcore, like no World War II. He was an ambassador to Britain, and he was begging the president at the time, like, do not get involved with this war. It's going to be bad for the country if you do. Obviously, they got involved with the war. Obviously, I'm going fast. They branded his father as every kind of anti-Semitic in the world. Then John F. Kennedy became president. Of course, he had to act like he was working with these people, but they were lying to him. Child, that's a live that I would have to, like, you know what, make it for a Sunday, an all day live where we go through JFK and RFK and that whole thing and that whole connection. Okay. But yeah, I just want to read this. It says, first time I heard Charlie Kirk was at a rally before Trump was elected. I honestly have to say that I said out loud, who is this Who is the ignorant so and so? I only got to know and understand him after he died. No, don't worry. Don't worry, Marissa. I felt the same. You see, I didn't care about, I'm a little controversial, whatever. I'm just like so a certain way where it's not like the racial stuff for me, even though some of the stuff that he would say, like, we're not celebrating Juneteenth, guys. It's not a real, I used to be like, God, Charlie, every year you cannot wait to send out that tweet. And it's just like, bro, we get it. You don't believe in like dog, like it's not making you look like, I just like, this is not, but I more got mad at him that he wouldn't talk about the occupation of our government. I read about Lyndon Johnson. He did a lot of bad things to get into office, then found out there was no power. He was distraught and didn't even run for the second term. And let me tell you, when they ended JFK, he knew, like, I can't say no to these people. Things changed. Things definitely changed. JFK was removed by the B Coast. He was about to end the CIA. Israel's role in politics. He was about to stop the Vietnam invasion. You don't mess with their money. And if you know how the CIA is built, and you know the beginning, I do need to maybe do a marathon live one day, because it goes back to all that. How was the CIA started? Why was it started? It goes back to the same thing. It does. This country hasn't worked for itself. Definitely, it hasn't worked for itself to me. Like, I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying it's been subverted for a long time, and then the subversion ramped up after they killed the Kennedy brothers. Ramped up. So, so what I'm saying is, again, so towards the end, here's the ending monologue, and I want to thank everybody who came here. The fact is, though, that this is just the beginning. I thought I would be able to do this in one live, but there's so much to cover. I mean, but they are building narratives for us. They're building limited hangouts. Trump was a limited hangout. And I enjoyed every bit of Trump when I enjoyed Trump, and I will never regret that. It's just okay to learn these things and, really continue to put our faith in the creator. The creator. I'm not telling you what religion to be. I'm saying the creator. And I will tell you in the books, I'm sure in the Quran, certainly in the Bible, it tells you that we are not of this world, and that these type of like magicians, that's what they are. That's what they are. And along the way, we meet good people, like you good people who are watching, and good people who are on the chat, and people who ask questions. And this is one thing I've always said. And like I said, like, I'll end with this. This is something I believe with my heart. And why I can't leave YouTube. I remember saying this years ago, and I'll continue to say it. Even if they shut down the internet today, which believe me, they want to, it doesn't matter. Because as long as there's one person with the thought in their mind to say, this doesn't feel right. That's where the truth lives and it grows. And that's where the creator connects with you, and you get closer to God, and you use the discernment that you've been given. Well, somebody, that's when you trust the Lord. And that's when you become all powerful, almost, you could even say, because you're not going to fall for the BS. We're not weak. We just don't use the tools that have been given to us enough. But we're learning. No, I do not judge all Jews. We aren't all being Shapiro. I know. I don't judge all Jews. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who do have. I mean, it's a culture thing. I judge all Haitians, but no, I'm just joking. But like, no, but seriously, I don't. I really don't. Okay, guys, I still will go buy Jewish apple cake. Okay, I don't want anybody to feel like that. I do believe cultures have a way that they move, but I don't judge everybody. Look, and at the end of the day, in the cosmic battle between good and evil, it will be all people together. Jews, Christians, Muslims. In the cosmic battle between good and evil, it does not state only this kind of people are the good side. No. Okay? So that's how we're going to end it tonight. So I just want to, you know what I mean? I just don't like making disclaimers. Because it's like, why do I have to keep making disclaimers? I don't make them for women. I don't make disclaimers for Black people. I don't make disclaimers for women. I don't make them for Haitians. I don't make them for, so it's like, I don't think that I should have to make disclaimers for anybody. So anywho, and that, yes, and y'all don't ever forget, God is in control. I'm not, again, telling you religion, no, you are created. There is every last one of us are created with a purpose. Every little cell in our body has a purpose. That means that you are created with purpose, not by mistake, not by accident, not by some bang or some worm that squirmed out of a sea. None of that, and we see our true power when we keep saying, something's not right here. Even when they tell us, shut up and take the slop. Shut up. Charlie Kirk, that was Tyler Robinson on there. It wasn't a piece of pepper that you said. It wasn't artifact. You better believe that was Tyler Robinson in 4K, right? And you're like, I just can't. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. And the more you say it, that's the power. You know what I mean? And they hate that, bro. And the they is not like, the Jews hate. No, the people who want to control you. They're the ones who, like, when you say that, and like these elite podcasters are like, oh, shut up and I'm telling, I've been on spaces with them. That doesn't mean anything. So what? They didn't call 911. So what? They didn't do CPR. That's normal. It's normal. It's all normal. And you're the widow. And we're just like, even on a comm, like, I just don't think it's right, y'all. They hate it. Shut up and listen. And you won't. And you just won't. And that's where the power lives. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. I love seeing it. Literally, like, this thing has refreshed me, like, into, with people. Like, God is good. People are like, I just can't do it, guys. I can't accept this. I don't know what's going on, but this I can't accept. And I'm like, the resilience. It's beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for coming through, guys. It's always a pleasure hanging out with y'all. Thank you so much. You guys don't even know. Most people don't. They don't. They want you to think that people are buying the slot, but anytime you have to pay people to come clap for you, okay? All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I'm going to go ahead and make me a nice little tea, a little sleepy time tea. Love you guys. Love you too, Tack. Love everybody. I will see you guys at the next one. Bye.